Big Flem Studios in sunny Southern California. It's Big Flem's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming. Hello, folks, and happy Thanksgiving weekend. This is your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming here, hosting another edition of Big Flem's Pigskin Picks, College Football Edition, for Week 14 of the college football season here on Big Flem Radio and TV. Well, we're just about ready to wind down the regular season of college football, and this weekend is rivalry weekend, where we see a lot of in-state rivalries and traditional rivalries, duke it out for bragging rights for another 365 days. All right, folks, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I know I had. Ate plenty of turkey, dressing, cranberry sauce, and all the fixings, and got your fix on some of Thanksgiving Day holiday festivities, as well as watching NFL football on Thanksgiving Day, and of course, dealing with Black Friday shoppers on Friday. Without further ado, folks, let's go ahead and just get this show started here. Well, we're going to stick with my home state, of course, state of Georgia, where we have the number 4 ranked Georgia Bulldogs at 10-1 traveling to Atlanta to Bobby Dodd Stadium, aka Bobby Dodd Stadium, historic Grant Field, to take on the woeful 3-8 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, aka the Bumblebees, aka the Broken Down Rex, and our annual, what we call it in the state of Georgia, clean old-fashioned hate. Right now, Georgia leads the all-time series against Georgia Tech, and Georgia has won the last 3 or 4 meetings. So, especially with Georgia, with the college trying to prep up for next week's SEC Conference Championship, this will kind of be like an easy test for Georgia. Like I said, basically since Georgia Tech did terrible this year under their first-year head coach. So, with that being said, and also hopefully Georgia can rest some of their key players to be prepped up for next week's SEC title game. And also Jake Fromm hopefully can finally let it loose. And of course, we all know one of our wide receivers, Lawrence Cager, he's out with a high ankle sprain. And right now he's doubtful for the SEC title game next week. But for now, hopefully our other receivers will step up in his absence and carry the day for Georgia, as well as DeAndre Swift in the running game. Hopefully he can finally get that running game going. So definitely Georgia's going to beat Georgia Tech in the Governor's Cup, aka clean old-fashioned hate. And of course, we're going to go to our next matchup, which stayed in the state of Georgia, where we have the 7-4 Georgia State Panthers traveling to Statesboro, the borough for the local folks, in Bullitt County in southeast Georgia, as they take on the 6-5 Georgia Southern Eagles. Like I said, the Eagles trying to wrap up their regular season and hopefully maybe get a shot in the playoffs. But I'm going to lean with Georgia Southern in a close one over Georgia State. All right, we're going to continue on with our picks. We have the Battle of Illinois, the Land of Lincoln Trophy, where we have Northwestern at 2-9 traveling to Champaign-Urbana, take on the University of Illinois Fighting Illini at 6-5. Right now, Illinois is already bowl eligible, and hopefully they can cap off this season with a win over Northwestern and capture the Land of Lincoln Trophy. All right, our next matchup is, of course, the big game of the season, and also the biggest game in the Big Ten. Like I said, one of the winners of this game will be going to the Big Ten Championship next week to play the winner of Minnesota and Wisconsin game. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But as of right now, of course, we know the big one. Number 1 ranked Ohio State at 11-0, traveling to the Big House at Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor to take on the number 13 ranked Michigan Wolverines at 9-2. Coach Jim Harbaugh, Right now, he's 0-4 against the Buckeyes since he's been coach of the Wolverines, and he's been getting a lot of heat over it. So far, the Michigan program has been going steady, but this is the big key win for the program and the biggest rivalry in college football. And it'd definitely be bad if Jim Harbaugh goes 0-5. So he'd be the first Michigan coach to go to go 0-5 against Ohio State. Ohio State, the Buckeyes, aka the Buckaroos. I'm gonna go against the grain here. Like I say, if Michigan can pull it off early and jump on Ohio State early, and if they can make Justin Fields, the Ohio State quarterback, uncomfortable, and also shut down their running game, and also keep their safeties, keep their wide receivers close to the vest, maybe Michigan can finally get that win over Ohio State. So I'm going against the grain. I'll go with the Wolverines over Ohio State. But I know in my heart of hearts, Ohio State's going to win this one. But, can't help but to try. All right, our next matchup is the old Oaken Bucket Trophy for the Hoosier State, as Indiana at 7-4 travel to West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers at 4-7. Purdue didn't do too well this season, and Indiana did pretty good this year. I think they beat Penn State this year, one of the biggest wins for their program this season. So I'm going to go with the Indiana Hoosiers to take the old Oaken Bucket Trophy home to Bloomington, Indiana. All right, our next rivalry matchup is in the bluegrass state of Kentucky, where we have Louisville at 7-4 traveling to Lexington to take on the 6-5 Kentucky Wildcats. Normally, this will be a big matchup in college basketball, and it's coming down the road probably after the new year, where they have their usual matchup. But we'll look forward to that a little later on, down the line. But right now, we're speaking in college football, so I'm going to lean towards Kentucky, the Wildcats, in a close one over Louisville Cardinals. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Big Flem's Pigskin Picks, college football edition for Week 14 here on Big Flem Radio and TV. Flem Radio wants you to know that approximately every 51 minutes, someone is killed in a drunk driving crash. Buzz driving can also cause huge financial penalties with fines and legal fees. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk. Find out more at nhtsa.org.
Man, I can't take this heat. It's so very hot. Yeah. Look, why don't we think of cold things? That might help. Okay. Strawberry. No. Think cold, Phil. Okay. Soap. Mm-hmm. No again, Phil. You know what? Soap is not cold either. Okay, something cold would be good. Yeah. How about hot coal? No, hot coal is hot right in the name. That's my fault. Yeah. Cold. There's no such thing as cold coal. Why not? Because there isn't. Okay, I'm sorry. Right now. What? We need a couple of cold filtered Miller Genuine Drafts. Hey, yeah. Wouldn't it be great to crack open one right now and pour it into a cold frosty mug? Oh, yeah. All the while, Momo the Tahitian princess cools you with her solar panels. When just a cold one isn't cold enough, crack open the refreshing taste of cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Solar panels? That's hot. I'm sorry. Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Stay cool. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, one more thing. I don't know how I could forget. I can't get started in the mornings without my Folgers.
I'm not big on coffee.
Folgers is more than coffee, though. Their mountain grown freshness is in their cappuccinos and coffee lattes.
Oh, really? What flavors do they have?
My favorite is Caramel Groove Coffee Latte, but you can try their Vanilla Vibe, Mocha Fusion, or Straight Up Latte. They also have usual cappuccino flavors, French vanilla, English toffee, and cinnamon vanilla nut.
Sounds good. Looks like I'll be starting my mornings with the mountain-grown freshness of Folgers, too.
For mountain-grown freshness in every cup, look for Folgers in the new plastic canister. It's lightweight, stackable, and the built-in handle is easy to hold. There's a foil freshness seal that's easy to remove. The struggle with the can opener is no longer necessary. The snap-tight lid seals the mountain-grown aroma in and the air out. For your Folgers on the go, try Instant. And for even more mountain-grown freshness, pick up Folgers Whole Bean, available at all your local grocers.
Folgers in your cup.
Welcome back, folks. We're going to continue on with our rivalry week here on Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flem Radio and TV. As you know, we're in the throes of the holiday season. We've already got Thanksgiving out the way now. We're 20-something days away from Christmas, and old St. Nick, yes, the big fat guy in the red suit, is coming, making his annual appearance on Christmas Day to deliver all the toys to the good little boys and girls, as well as good, hardworking adults as well. And speaking of that, have you checked out Big Flem Radio and TV's website? Like I said, you'll hear this podcast as well as 5 other podcasts, dedicated to music, talk, veterans issues, and information. And also, we have an online store with some nice Big Flim Radio and TV theme merchandise and products, especially for this holiday season. If you want to buy a special gift for your friends, your loved ones, your family members, your co-worker, your battle buddy, alien from Mars and outer space, hey, check out the online store at Big Flim Radio and TV website at www.bigflimradiotv.com. Again, that's www.bigflimradiotv, one word, .com. Now, if you want to send us an email to be a guest picker on this podcast as well as the NFL edition, you can send us an email at bigflimradiotv@gmail.com. Again, that's bigflimradiotv@gmail.com. In the subject line, put guest picker, Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College or NFL edition. Also, we're on Twitter, folks. Yes, we're on Twitter. So if you want to send us a tweet with your picks, or if you want to leave a comment or critique of our podcast and our shows, feel free to tweet us with the hashtag at @Flem_radio. Again, that's at Flem, FLEM as in Mike, _radio, RADIO. Also, we have a Facebook group page as well as a Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com/Big Flim Radio and TV, and you'll find us there as well. And you can also do the same thing. Leave us a note, leave us a comment, check it out. You won't regret it. Pass it on to your friends, your loved ones, your family members, co-workers, battle buddies, aliens from Mars and outer space. All right, folks, let's get back into it now. All right, our next rivalry matchup features the Battle of the Palmetto State in South Carolina, or South Kakalaki for the local folks. It's number 3 Clemson at 11-0, traveling to William Bryce Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. It's not far from Fort Jackson, South Carolina, when I did my Army basic training back in November 2002, as they take on the struggling 4-7 South Carolina Gamecocks, aka the Game Chickens. Like I said, Clemson's been dominating this series as of late, and I think that trend is going to continue. So I guess it's going to deny Will Muschamp an opportunity to be bowl eligible in this game. So I'm going with Clemson, especially when it comes to the seedings for the college football playoff standings. So we're going with Clemson in this matchup, folks. All right. Moving right along here. We got our next matchup. It's not a rivalry matchup, but we have the 6-5 Florida International University out of, I think it's Pompano Beach, Fort Lauderdale area, traveling up to Charleston, West Virginia. No, they're up to West Virginia, but not Charleston. I forgot where they're located at, but anyway, they'll take on the thundering herd of Marshall at 7-4. So far, Marshall's doing pretty good, as well as Florida International under Lane Kiffin. But I think Marshall's going to beat them in a close one. All right, our next matchup. This will be an ACC matchup where we have the 8-3 Wake Forest Demon Deacons traveling to Syracuse, New York in the Carrier Dome to take on the Syracuse Orangemen, who are struggling at 4-7. And like I say, so far Wake Forest is doing pretty good this year. They're bowl eligible, so hopefully they can wrap up their regular season with a win over Syracuse. All right, we're heading to the WAC conference where we have the 7-4 Wyoming Cowboys traveling to Colorado Springs to take on the Air Force Academy Fighting Falcons, aka the Zoomies, at 9-2. Like I said, I'm going with Wyoming in a close one over at Air Force Academy. All right, going back to the rivalry week theme, we have the Battle of Las Vegas, the Battle of Nevada, the Silver State, where we have Nevada, Las Vegas at 3-8, traveling to Reno to take on the Wolfpack of the University of Nevada, Reno, at 7-4. Like I said, I got some frat brothers up there. How you doing, frats, up there at the University of Nevada, Reno? And I'm going to dedicate this win to you guys. So, of course, Nevada is going to win this one in a close. I wouldn't say a close one, but I think Nevada, Reno, the Wolfpack will take care of business in Nevada, representing the state of Nevada. All right, heading back to the ACC, where we have the Miami, Florida, the Hurricanes, aka the Thunderstorm, or W at 6-5, traveling to Chapel Hill at, I forgot what the name of their stadium is. It's not Wallace Stadium, but anyway, taking on the struggling 4-7 Duke. Like I said, I'm going to have to lean this one towards W, Miami of Florida, for the South Florida fans over Duke. If it was college basketball, it would be the other way around, but you know how that goes. Staying in the ACC, we have 5 and 6 college, Boston College, the Eagles traveling to Pittsburgh, the Steel City, to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers at 7 and 4. Well, both teams doing pretty decently. I think Pittsburgh is doing better this year, but I'm going with the Pittsburgh Panthers over the Boston College Eagles. All right, heading to the Big 12, where we have the number 9th ranked Baylor at 10 and 1, traveling to Lawrence to take on the woeful 3 and 8 Kansas Jayhawks. Like if it was college basketball, it'll be the other way around. I would go for Kansas. But since we're still in college football season, so this one, like I said, should be a no-brainer. Baylor all the way over Kansas. I know Les Miles trying to get that program together there in Lawrence, but hopefully next season he'll get it together. All right, heading to the Big 12, the Big 10 with 14 schools, where we have 2 struggling schools trying to fight for relevancy, where we got the 3 and 8 Maryland Terrapins traveling to East Lansing, Michigan to take on the struggling 5 and 6 Michigan State Spartans. Like I said, right now they definitely need this win to be bowl eligible, at least salvage their season. But it's been a rough season for Michigan State. You know, losing to Ohio State, losing to Michigan, losing to Penn State. And I think they also lost to Wisconsin also as well. So hopefully they can salvage their season with the win over Maryland. And then, of course, another big game in the Big 10, where we have the number 12 Wisconsin at 9 and 2, traveling to Minneapolis to take on the 8th ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers for the Paul Bunyan Axe. And like I say, also the winner of this game will play the winner of the Ohio State-Michigan game in the Big 10 championship next week. Like I said, both schools have been doing pretty well. And like I said, Minnesota, they snapped the losing streak and went into Paul Bunyan Axe last year when they beat Wisconsin in Madison at Camp Randall Stadium. So hopefully Minnesota can keep that momentum going and win it there in Minneapolis. So I'm going with the Golden Gophers over the Wisconsin Badgers in a close one. All right. Moving right along, folks. We have one of the biggest rivalries, especially in the SEC, in the state of Alabama, where we got the Iron Bowl. Normally it's played in Legion Field in Birmingham, but they kind of gotten away from it and decided to go home and home. This time it will be in Auburn, in the plains of eastern Alabama, where the number 5th ranked Alabama 10 and 1 traveling to Auburn to take on the number 15th ranked Auburn Tigers, aka the Kitty Cats. Auburn Kittens, or the War Eagles, or the War Buzzards at 8 and 3. Right now, Matt Jones, he's been feeling it nicely for Tua. But like I said, the last 2 games they won handily, but they were against easy opponents. But this time they'll play against their own conference and division foe. We'll see how Matt Jones holds up against Auburn and their defense. And like I said, Bo Nix can get that offense going. They may have a chance to beat Alabama, and also can ruin their chances to make the postseason, the college football playoffs, with 2 losses. So I'm going with Auburn, the War Eagles, aka the War Buzzards, over the Crimson Tide. And our next rivalry matchup, we have the Battle of the Civil War in Oregon, where we have Oregon State at 5 and 6 traveling to Eugene to take on the number 14th ranked Oregon at 9 and 2. And this is a key game for Oregon because they win this game, they definitely lock up the Pac-12 North Division Championship, or the Puke 12, and they play probably Utah for the Pac-12 Championship next week. So definitely I'm going with Oregon Ducks over the Beavers of Oregon State. Then we have another matchup here. We got the 16th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 9 and 2, try to wrap up the regular season with some momentum as they travel to Palo Alto to take on the Stanford Cardinals at 4 and 7. So I think this should be a no-brainer as well. Like I said, Stanford might give Notre Dame a run for their money, but I think Notre Dame's going to pull it out in a close one to go 10 and 2 for the season. Then back to our rivalry theme matchup, we have the Battle of the Volunteer State, where we have the struggling 3 and 8 Vanderbilt Commodores traveling to Knoxville at Neyland Stadium, Old Rocky Top, to take on the 6 and 5 Tennessee Titans. Not Tennessee Titans, the Tennessee Volunteers, aka the Voluntoad. Like I say, they have already bowl eligible, but hopefully they can you know, end the regular season on a winning note. With all their struggles they had this year. I think I'll give it to the Volunteers to beat the Commodores. Like I said, Derek Mason might lose his job after this game. Who knows? But we'll see. All right, we have our next matchup where we have the 6-5 Tulane Green Wave traveling to Dallas Highland Park to take on the SMU Mustangs at 9-2. Like I said, the Mustangs have been doing pretty good this year, so I don't expect nothing to change in this game. Like I said, it might be a close one, but I'm gonna go with SMU over Tulane. Then we have continue on with our rivalry week theme where we have the Battle of the Tar Heel State, where we have North Carolina at 5-6 traveling to Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, not that far, to take on the NC State Wolfpack at 4-7. Both teams really struggle this year, and hopefully North Carolina can pull out a win to be bowl eligible this year. So I'm going to go with a slight edge with North Carolina over NC State. Like I say, it might be the other way around. It might be the same way in college basketball. Like I said, when they have their ACC matchup, probably after the new year. But sticking with football, we'll go with the Tar Heels over the NC State. All right, heading back to the Big 12, we got the number 23 ranked Iowa State at 7-4 traveling to Manhattan, Kansas to take on the 7-4 Kansas State Wildcats. And like I say, both teams, they had their up and down this year, but I'm going with Kansas State. A slight edge over Iowa State, the Cyclones or the Clones. Now, the key matchup in the SEC today is Texas A&M at 7-4. Like I said, they barely came close to beating Georgia last week in the rain, but unfortunately they fell short. Then they got the number 2 ranked LSU at 11-0, who Georgia plays in the SEC title game next week. So this is probably a tune-up game for LSU, but I don't think LSU will take Texas A&M lightly in this matchup, especially after last year's mega shootout in College Station when they went through 7 overtimes and Texas A&M beat them by 2 points, 74-72. I doubt if it's going to be a shootout this time around, but I'm going to give it to LSU since they got a whole lot to gain and a whole lot to lose in this matchup. So I'm going to LSU or Texas A&M. All right, and we continue on with the rivalry week theme. We had the Battle of the Sunshine State, where we have the struggling 6-5 Florida State traveling to the Swamp at Florida Field at Bob Hill Griffin Stadium as they take on the 11th ranked Florida Gators at 9-2. Like I said, Florida State, they fired a coach several weeks ago. And they got an interim coach who's been in the program for 26 years, all the way back to when Bobby Bowden was coaching. Try to stable the ship, and hopefully, they've already bowl eligible, so hopefully they can play for pride. So, but I'm going with Florida over Florida State in this matchup. And heading back to the Pac-12, aka the Puke 12, like I say, we have a game here where basically, in this case, if Utah wins, they'll go beat Oregon if Oregon beat Oregon State in the Pac-12 championship next week. Well, Colorado is that obstacle they got to get over first. Colorado 5-6 the Buffaloes traveling to Ogden to take on the number 6 ranked Utah Utes at 10-1. Like I say, this one, I wouldn't say a no-brainer, but I think Utah will pull it out by at least 10 points over Buffaloes and clinch the Pac-12 South title. And they face Oregon in the Pac-12 championship next week. Then our next matchup, we'll continue on with the rivalry week theme, is the annual Battle of the Bedlams in the state of Oklahoma. We got the number 7th ranked Oklahoma State traveling to Stillwater to take on the number 21 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. But like I say, if Oklahoma State can pull the upset, that could hurt their chances as far as, well, actually, they don't have a chance to get into college football playoffs, maybe. But as far as the Big 12 championship, it could hurt if Oklahoma loses. But I think Jalen Hurts, with his experience, I think he can pull a close one over Oklahoma State in this matchup, folks. So I'm going with the Sooners over the Cowboys in the Battle of the Bedlams. All right, our next matchup from the WAC, or Mountain West, where we have BYU at 7-4, traveling to San Diego to take on the San Diego State Aztecs at 8-3. I got some frat brothers down there too as well. So I'm going to stick with San Diego State Aztecs to hopefully win out the Mountain West Conference. Then heading to the Pac-12 or Puke 12, and a rivalry week theme here. We got the Battle of Land of Enchantment here. We got Arizona at 4-7, traveling to Tempe, Arizona, to take on the 6-5 Arizona State, the Sun Devils. Like I say, I guess Arizona will be playing for pride, like I say, because they won't have enough wins to make a bowl appearance. But it could spoil Arizona's chance of going to a bowl, but they are already bowl eligible. But I'm going with Arizona State in this one, folks. All right, heading to the WAC, or the Mountain West, where we have the Battle of the States in California. You got Fresno State at 4-7, traveling to San Jose to take on San Jose State at 4-7. Somebody has to win this one, but I'm gonna go with the Bulldogs of Fresno State over San Jose State. And also heading back to the Pac-12, aka the Puke 12, where we got the California Golden Bears at 6-5, traveling down to the Rose Bowl to take on the woeful 4-7 UCLA Bruins, aka the Teddy Bears. I don't see much hope for UCLA to win this one. Like I said, I know Chip Kelly is feeling a lot of heat down there in Westwood. So, but I'm going with the California Bears over the UCLA Bruins. And last but not least, we have Army. Hopefully they can right their ship before the Army-Navy game in 2 weeks and hopefully become bowl eligible as they travel to Hawaii to take on the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors at 8-4. Experts say that Hawaii should win this one. They should win their spread. But I'm going to lean with Army, West Point Academy, the Black Knights. Hopefully in a close one over the Rainbow Warriors so they could be bowl eligible, folks. All right, folks, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to go ahead and be right back and do a recap of Rivalry Week on Big Flem Radio and TV.
With sewage drains, call a non-caustic professional. Me. I'm your Roto-Rooter man. I can take care of any problems from the little drain to the big main. Caustic chemicals can be hazardous to your children's health. I'm not.
Hi. I'm here today because I'm addicted.
Big Flem Radio and TV.
Get ready.
You know.
Now that's an addiction, man.
Gnarly, dude. This is Jess Bacoli. When I'm out hanging tin, catching the waves, checking out the chicks, and skipping Mr. Hand's class, I'm listening to Big Flem Radio and TV. Oh. All right, folks, welcome back. Before we do our recap here, there's a couple of other mortar games I want to mention from the football conference subdivision, the FCS. We have the Kennesaw State at 10-2, traveling to Wofford at 8-3. That's going to be a close game. I think I'll give it to Kennesaw State, representing the state of Georgia. And of course, for the HBCUs, one of the classic football games for the holidays is the Bayou Classic, where we got Southern University Jaguars at 7-4, traveling to there in New Orleans at the Superdome to take on Grambling State at 6-4. Like I said, that's the biggest college football game for historic black colleges and universities, the Bayou Classic. And also, of course, the Battle of the Bands. That's an awesome halftime show, folks. I think you should check it out. I guess I'll go with Southern University Jaguars over the Grambling State in this matchup, folks. All right, so now to do our recap for our Big Flem's Pigskin Picks college college edition for week 14. Like I said, we got Georgia over Georgia Tech handily, Georgia Southern over Georgia State, Illinois over Northwestern for the Land of Lincoln Trophy. I'm going with a slight upset, Michigan over the Ohio State Buckeyes, aka the Buckaroos, but in my heart of hearts, I know Ohio State's going to win this one. So for the Olden Bucket Trophy in the Hoosier State matchup, we have Indiana over Purdue. For the Bluegrass State matchup, Kentucky over Louisville. The Palmetto State matchup, Clemson over South Carolina. I got Marshall over Florida National. I got Wake Forest over Syracuse. I got Wyoming over the Air Force Academy, the Zoomies. I got the Silver State matchup, Nevada Reno over Nevada Las Vegas. You got Miami, Florida, the U over Duke. You got Pittsburgh over Boston College, the Panthers, of course. Then you got the Baylor Bears over Kansas Jayhawks. You got Michigan State over Maryland. You got the Battle of the Paul Bunyan Axe. We got Minnesota over Wisconsin in an upset. We have the Iron Bowl. We have Auburn over Alabama. Then the Civil War. We got Oregon over Oregon State. We got Notre Dame over Stanford. The Volunteer State matchup. Tennessee over Vanderbilt. We got SMU over Tulane. The Battle of the Tar Heel State. North Carolina over NC State. We got Kansas State over Iowa State. Then we got LSU over Texas A&M. Then the Sunshine State matchup, Florida over Florida State. Then we got Utah over Colorado, the Battle of the Bedlams. We got Oklahoma over Oklahoma State. Then we got San Diego State over BYU. Then we got Arizona State over Arizona for the Land of Enchantment matchup. Then we have Fresno State over San Jose State. Then we got California over UCLA. And then we got Army over Hawaii. All right, folks, that's it. That's our episode for Rivalry Week for 2019, for Week 14 of the college football season. Like I said, it won't be that many games next week. Next week will be mostly conference championship matchups and maybe a few games here and there. All right, until then, we'll see you next time on Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flem Radio and TV. Written, produced, and hosted by yours truly, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming here. Big Flem's Pigskin Picks Rated College Edition. Also, don't forget to check out the NFL edition of Big Flem's Pigskin Picks for week number 12 or 13 of the NFL season. Make sure you check that out as well. And also the other 5 podcast channels on Big Flem Radio and TV. Big Flem Radio and TV is a production of Black Rebel Productions in association with Flem Media. The college football theme music is the property of the NCAA and CBS Sports. Big Flem Radio and TV do not own the rights to the music clip, nor do they profit from it. And also, happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your holiday weekend. Who are you? We're Big Flem Radio and TV.